So Kapila continues to answer his mother. He's answering three basic questions. First one is she wants more details about bhakti. He answered that. Second one is she wants details about how living beings get entangled in different conditions in the external world. He answered that one summarily. And the third question she wants to know about is time, which is really the facilitator of the jiva's interaction with matter. So now he's going to explain about time. And we have a very interesting three chapters remaining that are going to expand on these points. All right, so glasses around. Let me see if these are the right kind. This is my COVID-19 mask, custom made by my kind of aunt, great aunt. I have some fancy Japanese material. These glasses are like short range glasses. Let's see if they work. Well, they're very dirty. Fancy. All right. They work pretty good. So now Kapila turns his attention to his mother's question about time. She asked for more information. Now Kapila turns his attention to his mother's questions about time. Time is a supernatural thing, he explained, that causes all forms to evolve from the great primal origin. Get it? Time is a supernatural thing that causes all forms to evolve from the great primal origin. Probably a better word than cause would be facilitates. Those with separatist vision fear it. This is the interesting point. Devahuti's going to ask why. Those who have the separatist vision, remember, this is Kapila's new theme. Separatist version versus bhakti. Separatism versus bhakti, which means togetherness. Bhakti is love, love is togetherness. Bhaj means coming together. Partaking in the same thing. That's what bhaj means. So, if you have a separatist vision, you're going to wind up not liking time, because time is a supernatural thing. Time is divine. So your relationship to the supernatural thing is tense when your focus is primarily on the subnatural thing, to the external world in and of itself. But your relationship to the supernatural thing will be pleasant if your focus is towards the internal reality. Okay, so those, or if you don't have a separatist vision. Thank you, spiritual. So she wants to know, why do separatist people fear time? And Kapila explains, time is the powerful master. In comparison to time, everyone and everything is weak and subordinate. So why do people fear time? Because it's stronger than anyone and anything. It destroys the very things it sustains and is inescapably omnipresent. You can't go anywhere where time is not present. It's inescapably omnipresent, and it destroys the things that it sustains. It's the force which nourishes things to grow, and then it kills those things. This is now describing the separatist view of time. It's a very powerful, fearsome thing that kills its children. Time is a powerful master. In comparison to time, everyone and everything is weak and subordinate. It destroys the very things it sustains and is inescapably omnipresent. Devahuti says, well, doesn't anything, does time sounds awful. Sounds terrible. Is it good? I mean, does anything good come from it? Kapila said, yes, time is also known as Vishnu. So Vishnu is also a word that's known for used for time because time is inescapably omnipresent. And Vishnu means omnipresent. One of the basic meanings of the word. So it's named for Vishnu, which is an auspicious word, right? Like Vishnu, it causes good deeds to bear fruit. So here's his paradigm for time. Time is the facilitator of change. So it's going to cause your actions to be able to produce a result. That's why time is inescapably connected to fate or karma or destiny. That's why astrology works. You know what you're actually reading when you read a chart is a timestamp. The universal time code is expressed by the positions of things in the heavens. Our most basic, our actual clocks every day work on the basis of the position of the sun. Our calendars work basically on the position of the sun in reference to the position, not in reference to, but along with the position of the moon. We have months and years. We have days in the position of the sun relative to the horizons. We have years based on the sun relative to the equator. So time is measured and enforced, and there's a universal time code. Just like a video, when you edit a video, there's like a basic underlying time code that all the video elements align to. The universe has an underlying time code, which actually is the respirations of Vishnu. And then deeper than that is the respirations of Brahma. But once the universe is up and running, one of the simplest ways that you can observe the universal time code acting is by the movements of the planets. And so if you take note of the positions of the planets, then you know what time it is. And if you know what time it is, then you know what happened before and what's going to happen next. Just like now I know it's morning, so I know it's not going to get dark soon. Similarly, if you look at a chart of where the planets are, you can tell what's about to happen. So Kapila's presentation of time is that time is the facilitator for actions to cause their results. Therefore, time is going to create both terrible results and amazingly great results. So now, Devahuti says, well, then is time guilty of discrimination? Because it gives harsh results to some people and gentle results to others. She's using this concept of Somya and Krura, or benefic and malefic. Time has sometimes in a chart that you look at, there's Krura results all over the place. You got Jupiter debilitated, Saturn strong on top of Jupiter, Mars is aspecting them both, and then there's an eclipse. Sounds familiar? December 2019. All kinds of Krura, time is bearing all kinds of Krura results. Very, very harsh results. And then some people get affected by it, and some people just don't even get scathed by it. And in other times, you get Jupiter in Cancer aspecting the moon, and Venus is in Pisces, and everything is lovely. But still, some people get the blessings and some people don't. So what she's asking is time guilty of partiality? Time is the force that allows actions to produce results. So some people are getting good results, some people are getting difficult results. Is that time's fault? Now, Kapila's going to answer that question. He says, time loves no one, but hates no one. Time makes no treaties, no agreements, no deals. It never sleeps, and thus, it impartially ruins those who sleep. So now Kapila is going to present a very interesting concept of time, or a paradigm, or a metaphor for comprehending time. Which is basically, his metaphor is like this: if you ignore me, I'm going to mess you up. That's time's attitude. You want to ignore me, then I'm gonna mess you up. You want to respect me, I'll treat you right. That's what he's presenting time like that. People that neglect to recognize the dominant power of time get ruined by it. They get crushed by it. But people who recognize the important dominance and inescapable power of time, they get cultured by time. They get nourished by time. Because now, is this some kind of fairy tale? Time is obviously not Aretha Franklin demanding respect. Time is some non-sentient entity. So is this just a fairy tale? It's not a fairy tale. The people who pay respects to time, they use their time wisely. The people who are not respectful to time, they squander their moments. And so the people who squander their moments, they wind up with really bad results. The people who make good use of their time, they wind up with really good results. So the metaphor is, time is like Aretha Franklin saying, you give me some respect, I'll give you some good stuff. You give me disrespect, you're going to suffer. So if we are awake and make good use of time, we can evolve towards auspiciousness. If we sleep and neglect to make good use of time, we devolve towards inauspiciousness. So everyone should observe time respectfully, as if fearful of its punishment. Let me check some of the questions up to this point. I think we got 2. Oh, 3 maybe. It's sunset in New Mexico. Do we have a different time code perception of time? Certainly. But then actually think about the astrology. All of the planets right now are in the exact same configuration for you as they are for me. I'm in Japan. For anybody anywhere on the earth. So basically, we all are experiencing the same time code right now. The only difference between you and me is that how it's configured to the ascendant. So there's slight differences in the time code. Next question. Per location. Now, Melissa says, even though we recognize we are subject to time as incarnated beings, is bhakti the antidote to suffering in Maya? If you respect time, that's bhakti. If you disrespect time, that's abhakti. That's hate. If you respect time, then you're paying attention to the force, which is greater than you and which you're dependent on and which you're subservient to. Guess what? That's Bhagavan. That's Bhagavan's remote Shakti, but it's still Bhagavan. So if you talk about bhakti, a person with bhakti, they're one of the qualities listed in the Bhakti Yoga manuals of a person that has successfully developed bhakti is avyartha kalata. They utilize the moments preciously, each moment. So that is part of bhakti, is to pay attention to time. Some people, it's more in their nature than others to be like that. Like Saturn-y people, they're so time sensitive. And they get really annoyed by Gemini, Dooley, Mooney. Well, Mooney people can be very time sensitive too. Anyway, that's just a tangent. Everybody could respect time in their own way. It doesn't always have to be a Saturnian way where you're like, detailing whether or not you're 35 seconds late. Like Virgo-y Saturn. But the point, everybody in there, even if you're like an more abstract person, you can say, look, today is another day. Let's make sure that I do something important with it. It doesn't have to be micromanaged. Samantha says, I think about the children born under these transits. So again, it's like, it is generally a difficult time to be born, but everything can change depending on some minute details about how it configures to the ascendant. And you'll notice that when you, like, if you study the videos that I'm doing now, like Sun in Aries, Sun in Taurus, Sun, you'll notice that what you're actually dealing with the sun and with a planet and a sign is some really abstract concept of symbolisms either clashing with each other or harmonizing with each other. So you can get these two basic symbolic themes. You could put a spin on it, which could be really positive. You could put a spin on it, which could be really negative on the same theme. And that's actually important to do because depending on how it configures to other things, you'll put either a negative or a positive slant on it. All right, so now we go back. Time loves no one, hates no one, makes no treaties. It never sleeps, so it impartially ruins those who sleep. So time is impartial. You get harsh results or gentle results from time based on how you act. Time is just a facilitator of your action to cause its result. You are the doer of the action. Kapila explained that even the forces of nature obey time. What speak of you and me and owls and birds? Even the forces of nature obey time. This is how powerful time is. The wind blows, he said. The sun heats. The heavens send rain. The stars shine. The trees, vines, and bushes bear their seasonal flowers and fruits. The rivers flow. The oceans coalesce. The fire burns. The mountain-bearing earth does not sink. Space holds the atmosphere. 7 substances grow into bodies for living creatures. The gods create, maintain, and destroy this world. Aeon after aeon, everything animate and inanimate evolves and functions in obedience to time. Now here's his conclusion. Time is endless, but it ends everything. In fact, one of the easiest things to write a riddle about is time. So here you're going to get kind of like people will present a little riddle type of wording. Time is endless, but it ends everything. Time is beginningless, but it begins everything. Time is never born, never ages, and never dies, but it causes people to give birth to other people, all of whom age and are finally destroyed by death. So that is Kapila's description of time. So I'll just review this section. His mother said, give me more clarification about bhakti. So he said, okay, there's different grades of it. It's either pure or impure. If it's impure, then it's motivated by separatism. And it could be of a dark separatism or a passionate separatism or even a clear separatism. Clear separatism is where you want the best for yourself. Truly the best for yourself. Passionate separatism is you want to get material things. And dark separatism is you hate stuff. And because of that hatred, you try to love something that can give you the power to hurt the stuff that you hate. So that was his answer to her question of what kinds of love are there, what kinds of bhakti are there? Is there the pure kind is where you love somebody because you love them? And then she asked, what are the different ways to practice bhakti as a yoga? How do you practice bhakti? And he said there's yamas and niyamas, and you can practice it in conjunction with other yogas, or you can practice it by itself. You should actually probably practice it in conjunction with other yogas, but because you're probably not purified already. If you're already pure, then bhakti can immediately be effective without any outside assistance. If you still need some clarification, and you don't need to not do bhakti, but you need to just have it mix, include some other aspects in with it. So he says you should do all of your duties to be a responsible person in the world. You should treat everybody like God, because they are. You should take care of everybody that you're supposed to take care of. And you should not harm anybody. And you should never take things for your benefit at the expense of somebody else. That's one important part of bhakti. And then the other most important proactive practice is to hear and discuss Bhagavan. To hear the Bhagavatam, like we're doing right now, and think about it. Then she asked, how does the living entity wind up in different kinds of entanglements in the external world? And he said, well, there's all kinds of different entanglements that it can get in. Its inherent nature to be conscious and full of joy can be covered to different extents. So it can be super covered as an inanimate object, where it's just providing the mysterious energy that's in the atom and things like that. It's just occupying these atoms, and it's not sentient at all. It can also be sentient. Then it could also have active perception, and this perception can be facilitated by senses. And then there's a gradation of the senses, going from just having skin to going all the way up to having 5 senses, including the eyes. And then there's types of creatures that have more manipulative abilities, so going from having zillions of feet to fewer feet to hands. And then there's of the humans, and there's all these types of humans, different kinds of ways that the jivas can manifest themselves in the external world. Then he answered a question about time, of how did the jiva attain all these different situations? By performing different kinds of activities. They merit different kinds of results that put them into different situations and stations. And so this clarification here is that people that refuse to recognize that they're subordinate to time, they're not going to act very wisely. Just like, I got this, I showed you my mask. And somebody says, why does an astrologer need a mask? Why would an astrologer not need a mask? I don't understand that even slightly. People who refuse to recognize that they're subordinate to time and destiny are fools. So they behave very recklessly. People that don't recognize that they're subordinate to time and destiny behave very recklessly, and thus ruin themselves. Time facilitates the ruination. But people who are very respectful and observant of time, recognizing their subordination to these forces, they behave very wisely, and time facilitates their flourishing because of their wise action. So time is actually impartial, but it's just a facilitator of everybody's actions. So you have any more questions about time? It is Adhik Mas. But the most auspicious time for spiritual endeavors is Kartik Mas. But this is really just a karma kind of attitude, karmi kind of attitude, where there's an auspicious time to do something, like you look for a muhurta. Bhakti does not require any auspicious timings. It's always auspicious. But to kind of like have incentives, like on sale now, the Shastras often say this is the best time to do it, just to get you to do it. Melissa says Marsy people are time arrogant. Maybe because Mars likes to be independent. And if you watch how Mars orbits, It's the most arrogant in its retrogression. It has the widest retrogression, and it has the it has a wide, erratic, and retrogression which was very difficult to predict, and which led to Copernicus establishing the heliocentric model to be able to accurately pinpoint the retrogressions of Mars. It was Copernicus, right? Or Kepler or something. It was as a result of trying to figure out Mars's retrogression. So, because Mars is very arrogant or independent in its movement, and it's red, and it signifies very masculine passion. And so Marsy people don't really like to be subordinate to things. So yes. Now, negative Marsy people. Positive Marsy people would be very okay with being subordinate to good leaders. They wouldn't have problems with subordination or independence. Does the respective time have to do with being in the present instead of being in the past or future? Well, yeah, I think you have to. In order to use time effectively, you have to use the present moment in preparation for the future, and as a result, and building on your past. This is proper. People are just like, be here now. It cultivates a sense of the past and future being unimportant, which is totally fallacious. The past and future are actually just as important as the present, but they're just not real. They're theoretical. The past is something that used to be the present, and the future is something that might be the present. But the actions which are in the present have to be related to the past and the future. You don't just ignore the past and the future. So your actions in the present are built on your achievements and progress from the past, and they're building towards something in the future. That's the right way to respect time. If astrology can predict serious death, disease, then astrologers are likely to question secular forms of care like wearing masks. You must be crazy, Abhishek. You must be crazy. You are so crazy that you'll go to an astrologer and you'll say, "Give me a remedy, sir." And then you'll tell me not to wear a mask. Baka. Murk. What? Here's your remedy, you dodo. Okay. So let me just give you a little heads up about what's in the future. What's the question, Abhishek? I think I get the question. If astrology can predict serious disease and death, then astrologers are likely to question secular forms of care like wearing. That's so insane. Let's say I can predict that you're going to get cancer. Does that mean that I shouldn't tell you to go get an x-ray or whatever it is? Go get a mammogram? If I can predict that you're going to get cancer, then I'm going to say, go see the doctor. You're saying that since I can predict that some disease or something is going to happen, then I have no need for doctors? That makes no sense at all. What is more important, transit or Mahadash? It depends on what you're trying to do. But basically, it's more important is transit, but they're interrelated things. It's like saying what's more important, the D1 and the D9 or the D10. They're all interrelated. Okay. And let me now show you. Do you get it, Abhishek? I don't need. This is also ridiculous too. let's say you're a spiritualist guru, or what is this, like the Amish or some kind of weird religious sects that don't believe in doctors. Like Bob Marley, the guy died from freaking something in his toe. So they'll say, God will protect me. All I have to do is pray. Baka. it, like, God will protect me. I don't need to wear a mask. Here's God. This is how God's protecting you. You're such a dualistic vision that you think that God is not in medicine. God is not in the doctor. God is not in a mask. You know, so hocus pocus. Everything is so hocus pocus and unreal. Karen Abrams. Does Kapila speak of Antakale using yoga to prepare for death? I'm going to slap all you guys today. I hope you know that I'm joking. Or not joking, but I hope you know that this is, if I didn't consider you guys close, then I wouldn't talk to you like this. And that's actually my problem, is that I get close with people right away, faster than they get close with me. So sometimes I actually do wind up insulting them. Oh, that's good, Angelique. Does Kapila speak about Antakale using yoga to prepare for death? Yeah, but he hasn't really explicitly framed it in that term. But you'll see what's coming up next. If everything is, this is the next slap. The next slap goes to Bardo. If everything is interrelated, why analyze amshas? Maybe all we need to know is Rashi. If everything is, just think about what you just said. If everything is interrelated, then why analyze? If everything is interrelated, then analyze everything. To know any one thing, you have to know everything else. That's the conclusion. What you're saying is, since everything is interrelated, I can ignore all those other things and analyze only this. Makes no sense. Yeah, maybe it's Jupiter and Chitra. Also, like a moon and Rohini, but in the 6th house. Moon and Rohini in the 6th house. Moon and Rohini is very affectionate, but it's in the 6th house. So it's being affectionate with people that aren't really ready to be affectionate back. That's why I had all these problems with these people in the Vedic astrology communities, because I expected them to be on a level of intimacy and friendship and ability to have an argument without considering it the end of the world. Spicy. So if incorrect decisions are made, then time will respond to those decisions and different outcomes are possible. If correct decisions are made, yeah. No, yeah. If you act effectively, then you get effective results. If you act ineffectively, then you get ineffective results. Ashwin's trying to get me to talk about transits and Mahadashas during my Bhagavatam study. Let me tell you instead what's going to happen next. So what we got, now I don't need these glasses, which make everything look weird. The glasses are so strange because, like, when you look at the thing, that's the correct distance away, it looks right, but anything else looks like it's distorted. Then you get a headache. So what we have right now is Kapila has explained how jivas go into all living things go into all these different stations over the course of time, depending on their actions, right? So that sets up this paradigm that he's going to elaborate on over the next 3 chapters. He's going to get spicy too. He's going to talk. So the first thing he's going to talk about how you go from being a human being down to having hell, down to experiencing hell, then back up to being a human being through stations along the way, and then beyond being a human being up to higher stations, and then from one of those stations getting liberation. That's going to take 3 chapters. So for a while, you're going to be hearing about hell and death. Then you're going to be hearing about the return to the human life, and then you're going to be hearing about progress to the superhuman existences, and then liberation over the course of 3 chapters. Going to be real graphic and interesting. And so it's kind of cool. We'll finally get this topic of hell come up. And what's it for? And what's the purpose and all that stuff. So that's coming up soon. Hugs for Abhishek. Hugs for Bardo. And yeah, hugs for everybody. I'll see you soon. I'll see you tomorrow, right? Right? Tomorrow for hell. Let's go to hell together tomorrow. You'll see if hell exists or not. It's not exactly a Catholic hell. Great, love everybody here. Good. Me too. Bit scared. Okay. Bye.